Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another vidIQ live stream. I'm Dan, and every Wednesday we get together and discuss a YouTube-related topic or perhaps some tools that could help you out, and we also take your questions. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Rob Wilson.
Oh, that music just gets my blood pumping every single week, but then I remember that I've got to spend 3 minutes putting these on, so carry on, Dan.
I'm so numb to the gloves now that I just it's like, okay, whatever. So we're not going to get to talk to Rob or hear any words of wisdom for a few minutes. And then joining us this week is our guest. It is Omar from Think Media. How's it going?
Super pumped. Let's do this thing.
Thank you for being here. Just so everybody knows, tell everybody a little bit about you and Think Media.
Yeah, so I'm Omar El Sakori, one of the content creators at Think Media. I guess you could say my official title is like the creative director over the YouTube channel. Once started by Sean Kennel as a solo creator and has grown into a company of now, I think, 18 full-time employees. And we're just trying to help as many people as we can. 10,000 is like our goal number to hit, but help 10,000 purpose-driven entrepreneurs, reach their potential dream of going part-time or full-time, creating a life that they want using YouTube. And so a lot of the content we create on Think Media has to do with succeeding on YouTube, and that's the lens we kind of create from. So you won't really find like the cinematic, like filmmaker stuff on our channel. You'll find the simple, the beginner, the person that like knows they need to start creating content, whether it's for their business or for their passion. And so we want to help those people. And so you'll find a lot of help on Think Media, and we like to look at our channel as an archive. If there's a question you have in regards to content, microphones, lighting, cameras, but even strategic standpoint like SEO, ranking your videos and strategy, we'll have that kind of content as well. So we're one big happy family. I would definitely say we're not your traditional solo creator YouTube channel, because we are a team and we are Think Media. But I'm so pumped to be on this live stream and or replay if you're watching on the replay.
Hey Omar, quick question. How many of us 18 people do you think work directly on the YouTube channel?
Of the 18, let's go through it on Think Media, particularly because we do have the Think Media podcast channel. But number one is myself as one of the characters or content creators. We have Tony, who's the producer. He's made a few videos, but he's really the one dialing in the making sure we hit these video releases. We drop 5 videos minimum a week, and he's making sure that that's happening and the SEO is right. He's like a killer on when it comes to vidIQ. So that's 2. We have Kyle Anderson. He's one of the editors, usually edits and shoots my videos. We have Nolan Molt, who is another face on the channel, as you can see on the top left. That is Nolan Molt. He is in Phoenix, Arizona. He shoots edits and conceptualizes his videos. And then we have another editor in Canada, who is Steph, who we have brought on, and he's been crushing our podcast edits, but also repurposed edits. So if we are taking micro content from podcasts or long form videos, he's flipping that around, and he does a great job at that. And we also have a full-time graphic designer who is now doing a lot of our thumbnails. And so that is Ian, who resides in LA, and he's phenomenal. And we're so pumped to have him on the team. And then, so those would be like the core people that are actually producing on Think Media. You know, a lot of what Sean's doing now is strategically, you know, doing these like long live streams, and we take out, you know, small bits from those live streams as his uploads. Heather will sometimes come on, but I would say like directly, I would say about 5 people directly for, but it's kind of, we view our YouTube channel as the top of funnel for the business in and of itself. So Think Media being a deeper business than just a YouTube channel, we hope that our channel reaches the people that don't know who we are. And I know a lot of people who have succeeded on YouTube without even going deeper, you know, like going into some courses we offer or even communities we have going on, just because we really value the principle of putting out as much value as you possibly can. And then you don't have to worry about the profits. So profits aren't our number one goal. We want to make an impact. And we know that, you know, a byproduct of serving a community would come and it just like, well, it's also a very smart business model. You know, Sean made a video on the channel on like the 21 different streams of income that Think Media as a company is. And so, yeah, we're much deeper than the YouTube channel, but our heart is to meet new people and serve people on there. And you could follow us for years on end and never know that we actually have a deeper business, you know what I'm saying? But that is our heart.
Yeah, I think I got up to about 7 or 8 names there, and the sole reason I asked that question is so that I can clip this part of a video and then send it to a vidIQ bosses. Because it's just me who makes all of the stuff and a little bit of help from Dan as well.
No, for sure. I would say that I think that was the unlock. So obviously most YouTubers are starting by themselves. They're learning how to film themselves, how to edit themselves. And like me and Sean both have backgrounds in video production. So like, you know, the ability to already know what we're doing as far as editing goes. But I would say I was the one move he made that relinquished the energy of having to film and edit. So when I was brought on, you know, when we first reconnected in like early 2016 or whatever, which we have a pretty far history working in the church space, but you know, taking that off, now we were able to shoot like 8 videos in one sitting, and now he didn't have to worry about it. The edits would have got done. And I think this could maybe speak to a lot of solo creators that maybe are holding on to potentially the edit or the perfectionism of your video. Sean was worried that somebody was going to notice that somebody is now editing and shooting his videos, and not a single comment in the videos that dropped that started to pass through me did anybody notice that there was a change. And if anything, we've only grown from that, because now it's the principle of laser focus. So like now he's not splitting focus on having to figure out how to level up in editing. So that principle just drives on to every single, you know, team member we bring on. Like now our thumbnails, if you look, like there's a big difference in our thumbnails because we have a dedicated designer who just, I don't know, like that's his area of genius. And so there's a lot I think people and businesses miss out on from scaling in that manner. And not because I wouldn't say necessarily it's the fear of like, you know, cost to run a business. It's more or less, I think it's just like a control thing. Like, are you willing to relinquish a little bit of control in a certain area? And there's always going to be growth, you know, pains, but on the other side of that pain is a powerful team, in my opinion.
So going down back to the title of this live stream, which is, do you need a better camera? Perhaps a better title, which should be get better humans to help you with your YouTube channel.
For sure.
Do you need a team of people?
Do you need a team of people holding cameras or better cameras? That's the question.
Building sets and getting lights together. Before we go on, we do, Rob, need to mention the special that we're offering right now.
Oh, don't we just?
Yes, you can get 50% off of 2 months of vidIQ Boost. And on top of that, as if that wasn't enough, if you buy this, if you use the promo code Work From Home and buy this, you get a free one-on-one channel audit session with one of our channel auditors here at vidIQ, which is something that's normally worth about $500. So This is a very limited but awesome offer. If you're somebody who would love to sit down one-on-one with somebody else and talk about your channel with them and get a deep dive into what you can be doing, you know, the actionable steps you personally could be taking to grow your channel, this is a fantastic time to do that. So the promo code, once again, is work from home. Everything is down there at the bottom. So check it out. Yeah, the offer ends, what, July 31st, it looks like? There we go.
Yeah, in a few days. I mean, to spell out the numbers here, not only are you saving $50, but on top of that, you're getting $500 essentially absolutely free with the channel audit consultation. I don't think we've ever had an offer quite as special as this. I don't even know if we'll do this type of offer again Black Friday. Who knows? But I wouldn't wait for it. I wouldn't wait for 2 or 3 months to see if that deal comes back. I haven't got a lot of time. But as you can see, along the banner, and we'll keep it running. We'll probably remind you later on as well. I'm just curious. Have you ever dipped your toe into the channel audit side of YouTube stuff? Are you very much, as you say, a creative director, a content creator?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the channel audit side of things. Like I would say, like we try to stay in our like area of genius. Like there's Tony on the team who's the producer. I would say his area of genius is that kind of thing. He can see somebody's channel. I think what my area of genius is seeing how somebody could retain information better on their videos, or move their sometimes people just don't have the eye on like where's the best area to film in my area, my room or my office, or some people don't even know what they should be or what they could be doing. And I think I'm able to see possibilities on the production standpoint. But I think the number one thing that we literally use on every video are like the vidIQ, tools that we have access to, because, and I would say since day one, like a lot of people ask us this question, bro, you guys got like 1.7 million subscribers, but like, how come your videos, like when they drop, they're not getting hundreds of thousands of views off the get-go?
That old chestnut, eh?
Yeah, like, and I get it, okay? But here's the thing. That's not the game we're trying to play, right? We're trying to play the long game. We're trying to play the game where if we took a month off, our channel would still work for us, because our videos are intentionally ranking in search. Our videos are intentionally being found every day by new people. And so more than, working per video and working hard, we have this end goal in mind, and also just perspective. I think we understand at the fullest level that YouTube is a long game. We're here for the long haul, and we're also trying to create smartly. And so that's just the game we're playing. And like when we take a break, or when we choose to, or when we want to, we'll do that. But we understand that we're just flooding the internet world, because I would call this digital real estate, right? And I think what's cool about vidIQ is it helps you find the land. This is all illustration, but like what land you should go and find depending on what you know. And so we try to find where is that digital real estate. The reason why we keep pumping out 5 videos a week rather than putting out 2, call it masterpieces, like that are super entertaining. And so, there's so much character and personality in it, is because we know that there's people that are using YouTube to find an answer to a solution, and vidIQ helps us get in front of those people when using all that stuff. I don't know if I even answered your question. You said,
So I'm going to get back around to a question a little bit, but I just checked in the background, and as you say, channels such as yourselves, vidIQ, utility education channels, where there is a channel that posts a video in the first 24 hours, it might get 5,000 views. But then in a year's time, that video is still getting 5,000 views a day. And, Think Media does 150,000 views roughly a day. And that's what I think many, creators who are looking for education don't necessarily see when they ask that question about, you got so many subscribers but not that many views. It's one of those things that really makes me chuckle a little bit on the inside. So just going back to the question of auditing, because you said you focus a little bit more on the perhaps noticing the production side of things. When we look at a channel, we're maybe thinking that the common threads are thumbnails and channel focus, or something that many small creators struggle with. So in terms of production, what would you say are common threads? I'm thinking here it's usually something to do with a microphone or their lighting just isn't right because they don't understand color temperature or get, you know, the importance of getting a ring light. But maybe you have more of an insight on that.
No, yeah, I mean, I would actually agree to the fact that before you as in any creator, solo creator or new to making videos, like before you even upgrade your camera, I actually think you should go all in for lighting and audio. So, you know, there are these like cob lights that are a little bit more pricier than a $20 ring light. You know, I'm using it's a lantern that I'm using, and it produces a nice soft image. But if I was using my phone with this light, it actually makes the phone's video look way more better. And like, I think we like to say that lighting is everything. And so we would encourage people to invest in their lighting and audio first, because that travels with whatever camera you're using, smartphone or nice camera. And the chances are there's just like misconception that like, when I buy this camera, it all comes together, when the reality is the onboard mic's not good. You can't just put a shotgun mic on top of a camera and then back up and talk, you know, and like that's just obviously that's why we exist, and we want to help and want people to know that like you can go so far using your smartphone, and like when you're ready to invest into your video production, start with audio and lighting and get something you won't have to upgrade later. And I just think that's always the wise move.
I still struggle with you know, I have all this gear and everything, and I still struggle with getting everything just right. I'm always constantly tweaking my room setup. It's multi-purpose kind of room, so I'm kind of boxed into this weird space with this weird diagonal wall, and I just try to make the best of it.
Here's the same thing for me, Dan and Omar. I've had a DSLR camera for about 5 or 6 years. And up until very recently, because I just couldn't be bothered dealing with the variables, I always set my camera to automatic and just let it shoot. And it was only when I started to mess around a little bit with ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. And these are all terms that I'm not that familiar with. Can you believe it? I've made thousands of videos, and I still don't really care too much about the... well, you know, I'm trying to care more about the production quality. But it's only when I've started to really invest in getting the combination of the shutter speed and the ISO just right to make sure that the light isn't the amount of light that I use doesn't spill onto the back, that it really can make a huge difference. And once you've got that set up, then you can almost set and forget, but it just requires that little bit more education and time. You know, I guess that kind of does go back to that quality versus quantity argument and focusing on 1% of something every single time. And just recently, you know, in the last 2-3 months, I've really been focusing on manual camera settings. But as you say, Omar, I could have done that with a $300 camera as opposed to a $2,000 camera with $3,000 worth of lenses. Right.
No, yeah, actually, this is funny, but like Heather on the team, you know, she now produces more for the Think Media podcast. But I hooked her up with a camera that's 6 years old. It was the Sony A5000 or something like that. It has HDMI out. It's clean. Yeah. And then we got a super cheap 16mm lens, not the Sigma one, but it's a Sony one that I think was $80 used on Amazon. So the combination of that, like if you go on OfferUp, you can find that camera for like $200. But people are surprised at how good her video looks. And it's because it is settings and you know, my ability to help her get to that place. But I also understand that you don't need 4K. If you're trying to do live streams and stuff and you want a blurry background, you need 1080. Like you need just, you can use the oldest 1080 camera with a clean HDMI out to like dial in a great look. And so, yeah, I mean, I like to think of it like a checklist system when it comes to shooting in manual. Like there's rules that you live by when it comes to video, right? And so the first rule is, in my opinion, is the double shutter rule. Okay, so if you are shooting in 24 frames per second or 30 frames per second or even 60 frames per second, this is the frames per second, right? Yeah. Just multiply that number by 2, and that should be your shutter speed. So if you're shooting in 24, your shutter speed should be 1/50th. 30 should be 1/60th. 60 frames per second should be 1/25th, because that's just what cameras go to. They don't go to 120. So that's like a rule, right? You don't have to break that rule anymore once you set that up. So that's checklist number one, was dial in your frame rate and your shutter speed, and then you'll never have to change that again unless you're changing your frame rate. The second thing is I actually like to put start with my ISO as low as it can go, because that's where you get the best quality out of a camera, is the lower the ISO. Once you start increasing your ISO is when you start to introduce noise into your image, whether photography or video. So I usually will just bring my ISO down, and this is before I even like set up a light. I just know, like, these are my checklists in my head. I got my frame rate locked, which means I got my shutter speed dialed in, double shutter rule. Then I bring down my ISO, and then I go to my aperture and bring that down to usually as low as my lens would allow. So right now I am using a 1.4 lens. So when you see that like F number, or the number in between your shutter speed and your ISO, that is your aperture. So then I will bring in my aperture, or bring my aperture down. And again, the aperture is now a new thing that I no longer ever have to change. Okay, so let's just say I put it on f2, or if you have a kit lens, it's f3.5. I am no longer ever changing my shutter speed. I'm no longer ever changing my aperture. So it's at 3.5. My shutter speed's at 1/50th because I'm shooting 24 frames. Now I put the lighting on my face. I don't put it on full blast, but I do what I can to now adjust my ISO based off of my lighting. And it's okay to increase your ISO as needed, but I've just dialed in 2 settings that I should never have to ever manipulate ever again. So, a lot of people who are making videos and they're shooting on auto, what you'll find is when they start moving their hands, the auto, exposure settings are changing. And like you said, the white balance is changing. And so you don't have to change your aperture. You don't have to change your shutter speed. Really, the ISO is the only thing that you now have to worry about. And I'm talking about, stationary video, by the way. This isn't, if you vlog and you go in and outdoors and you're changing, put it on auto. I think that's your best bet.
Yeah.
But another thing to lock in, once you dial in so everything I said up to this point, we have now dialed in our exposure. This is like your lighting is even, nothing is blown out. Your skin, your skin's okay, whatever, right? The next thing I would say is white balance. Another thing you wouldn't have to change if you have a talking head video setup, and your white balance could be set on one of the presets that they give you. This is getting kind of deep, but like if your light is bicolored, meaning it can go really warm or it can go really cold, you want to put it on the colder side of things. Your goal is to match daylight temperature, right? So daylight temperature typically is about 5,000 Kelvin. Yeah. And so in your camera, you can actually choose, most cameras, 5,000 Kelvin, and then you put your light at 5,000 Kelvin, or just line it up until whatever is white in your image is white. So I have white walls. It'd be a bad thing if this just wasn't white. I have a light behind me, but now my light stands out. This warm light stands out now because I have my white balance dialed in on my camera. So all that does, it really comes down to understanding your camera. And like, once you know these camera basics, and I think there is a lot of grace for people who have never picked up a camera before. Like we always like to say that your content value is way more important than your production value. And I have seen creators that I have discovered rise beyond before they've even upgraded their equipment. And then you notice when they upgrade their equipment, it's like, oh, that's appreciated, but I came here for the content anyway. And so I think more than anything, it really is just the basics. I like to think of it this way. We used to learn cursive in school. Like when I was growing up, we had to learn how to write in cursive. And they have now, and that was a form of communication, that was professional. They teach you like to write in cursive is just more professional, and it's more, it makes you look better on a resume or whatever. But now we have a new form of communication, and I think it's video, and then video editing. That's this is a form of communication that I think at a basic level should be understood. And so I don't know, like that maybe that's just a biased thing on my opinion, but there's just too many entrepreneurs, content creators, because I also do freelance work and contract work, and these CEOs need to understand the basics of camera use. I'm a part of a local church, and I've encouraged my pastor to like start going live on YouTube and start teaching when you want. And then, obviously announce it to the church. But like Thursdays at 7 p.m., I went over his house to kind of like set up the basic stuff. And he's like, oh, that's all I got to do. Yeah, literally. That's all you got to do. Plug in the HDMI into the capture card. When you're on YouTube, make sure you select the webcam being your camera. And, I plugged a mic straight into the camera so you can actually run the audio straight from the camera itself. And he just wears a little lav, and it looked and sounded great for someone who's never done video before. He was able to do a live stream. So I say all that to say that there is a need for a commitment to want to grow in it and understand it a little bit. So yeah, we talked about team a little bit earlier in this talk, but like there's also a level to it where it helps if you know a little bit about the basics, because then you can lead it well when you do bring in people, and you can ask your expert video person that you brought in, whether or they're growing, but you could just be like, yo man, I don't know, why isn't the background blurry? I bought everything Omar said on Think Media's video and the background's still not blurry. Like that's the ability to kind of see those nuances, because chances are you can get a blurry background with a kit lens if your lighting is right and your distance is okay. But those are just basic settings that I think that can work like as a checklist if you're shooting on manual. If you get frustrated at like dialing this in and you don't know why, freaking shoot on on automatic and just produce content. You said you've made, Rob, like thousands of videos on auto. Like, shout out to you, because there's so many other things that you need to work through as a content creator, more than just camera settings. You need to work through your confidence, your communication skills, your ability to just be clear when you talk. Like I wasn't that good on video, and I'm still growing, and I'm committed to just still growing and being better on video. But if you look at older videos I posted on Think Media when Sean first started asking us to start creating videos for the channel, bro, I'm timid, kind of like a little bit less confident. And then, a year later of making dozens and dozens and dozens of videos and understanding how they get edited, and like how energy is actually communicated. When I think I'm energetic, I'm really not. I'm like, dang, dude, I'm kind of monotone. Like, what the heck? But that all comes from producing videos, regardless of the actual camera quality you're using. I think those things are kind of a little bit more important. And so I know the title is, do you need a better camera? With content value being more valuable, I would say you don't need a better camera, because the camera you have is the camera you should be using. Although I can go there, like we can go there. When you're ready to upgrade, there are great cameras to, upgrade to if you're looking to stand out, because in the, in the crowd of content creation, as more people come, as more people who are speaking into the same industry that you are on a content, on a video standpoint, you could stand out. Like if you're the person that's talking about, vegan recipes, but for some reason you're just crispier than the person using their phone and you're making the same exact videos, I would argue that potentially you could stand out a little bit, have a little bit more of an edge. But then the tension, again, if your personality isn't there, but this person using their phone just is way more fun to watch, you can lose to that person as well. So it's kind of like this two-edged sword, I guess you could say. And as you notice, I can totally rant and start to confuse an audience.
It happens, I would say, to us all the time. There's always 6 sides to every coin when it comes to YouTube. There's so many different.
Bro, you need your keywords dialed in, bro. Nah, man, you need your thumbnail to be popping. Like, bro, if you have a good thumbnail and your content sucks, your content needs to be fire, bro. Then it's hilarious how like it's just like this dichotomy.
Yeah, I think it's because there's just different stages, and I love how you put it. Just in dialing in your camera, you created a checklist. So here's all the things I'm going to work on, and you could work on those things, one day at a time. If it's just too much for you, you can go into your recording studio, start to dial in your shutter speed, and if that was just a lot, just to kind of get everything just right, then you can step away from it, come back another day. The same thing when you're making videos in general. Like you do want to get your video out there, so do your very best that day, get a video out there, but you should always be kind of making these little steps to make it a little bit better.
We like to say just 1% better every time. And don't minimize that growth mark. Like If you went from orange to like true skin tones, that's like 1% better. You know, like I just sometimes they like trying to make leaps and bounds of breakthroughs in your content creation. It's a little impractical, especially if you've never been exposed to any of this stuff before.
Absolutely. The other thing too is depending on where you are in your journey, you're going to have different concerns. So a lot of people here, maybe Rob, we should do a poll and see how many people currently shoot on their phone versus like a DSLR or something like that. And then with gaming channels, a lot of them will use capture software on their computer, which complicates it further. But do you need an amazing gaming machine to have your gaming channel, or can you get by on a laptop that's like, $400 at Walmart or something like that? And the easy answer is always, it depends. What game are you playing? Where are you shooting? What are you shooting? But yeah, I think once we get into Q&A, we'll kind of get a good idea of where everybody is at. I would still say what you said earlier, though, for people who shoot on their cell phones, lighting has to be key, even if you haven't spent the money on a camera yet. So do we want to get into Q&A? It's been about a half hour since we started.
So you're talking about polls, Dan. I did one just before the stream started, and it was a question. It's just an idea of trying to understand where people are in their gear setup so far. And I think nearly 500 people answered this, and 44%, I think, almost half of the people watching this live stream haven't spent a single dime yet on YouTube gear of any kind. So, Omar, if we were going to maybe suggest let's say we're going to give everybody in live stream $100, a disclaimer, we're not actually doing that, but let's say they had $100. What might be, and they've never bought any YouTube gear before, instinctively, what might you be suggesting they get first? For me, I'm thinking probably maybe like a Rode microphone or something, which allows you to get closer to your voice, or your first lighting panel, or a condenser microphone if you're recording off screen. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could kind of pull it up or I'll just say it. Yeah, I have this question in my mind because we actually have a video on it. If you type in YouTube Studio under $100, the first thing is the Deity $50 lavalier microphone. It is it sounds great. It has a very long cable and will plug directly into your it'll plug directly into your smartphone. If you may need like the adapter, which whatever, like $8, $10, but like that will level up the audio to your smartphone. And there is a $20 version, but I think the Deity sounds a lot better. You can see that link right there. But this is huge because before I even buy a light, because if you have a window, natural lighting from a window looks really good. And so you can get by with just upgrading your mic. And that would mean if you actually haven't bought a single thing, I would buy the cheapest tripod on Amazon, which the one right there is $20. And so, maybe you're at $70 at this point. You got a tripod for your phone. You're going to put it in front of a window. And then now you plug in that Deity $50 mic. And with the, let's just say, whatever money to spare, when you're ready to pull the trigger on that light, there is a super cheap softbox light that, look at inflation, bro. That mic was not $70. Now I need to update.
These are all Amazon Canada links. So it's
is that why? Dang, I'm sorry, Canada. Like we got it good, bro. It's $50 in the US for that mic. So creating content in the US, you have an advantage. No, you have one less excuse. But generally speaking. And then this light is a great light. It has it's not bicolored, but for $50, it's pretty incredible. If you're okay to spend an extra $20 or so, you can get a bicolored one with a remote. And so if you search bicolor softbox on Amazon, that first one, where are we at?
Sorry, this is Amazon Canada, where the
scroll down a little bit.
Much reduced here. We get
Photo Create is the brand. Dang, dude, I'm enlightened to now understand the pain that Canada may face when we make a video on a specific light, and you're like, bro, how is it shipped to India?
Yeah.
Type in FOTO in the search box.
Sure thing.
This straight up just doesn't like ship. My goodness. Here, let me show what I'm showing, because I think more or less
Sure.
it's understanding what you need,
Yeah.
and it's understanding what you need. So like what you potentially need is the ability to change the temperature of your light. So so this, like, for $50, you're getting a light that's wirelessly powered, like on and go. And it has the ability to change the temperature and also dim and or brighten. But you know, I'm logged in on Sean's thing, so I could see that it's about $75.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you say we went down. We say, what is the $100 setup that people need? Number one, upgrade your mic. Get that $50, or in your case $70 Deity lav mic. It really sounds really good for talking head video. And then if you obviously need a tripod to hold your phone up, then those would be the under $100 purchases I would make to get started with your smartphone. And then I think if you're honestly like vlogging with your smartphone and your phone is typically about arm's length distance, I don't think you need a mic. Like I think you can get away with the onboard mic of your smartphone. Like I said, content value stands out more than production value. And the only reason I would encourage that lavalier is just so, if you sit a little bit further back, it's a little more consistent of an audio. But we're talking like YouTube kind of setup, right? So
yeah,
another life hack, again, using Think Media as a resource, not more than just like you find a video that we make and it serves you and then that's it. I think you can use us as a search engine. When you come onto our channel and search lighting or cheap or budget, you will find a lot of things. But this video that I created last week was literally like making a video in a small bedroom, and you'd be surprised at like how good it sounded and looked by simply using the window as my light. Let me try this. So yeah, this is me using a window light with this talking head shot and a ZV-1, which is just a point and shoot camera, and it, natural lighting. That was free, didn't cost anything. But this video would be super helpful if you shoot in your bedroom and if you have a small space, because there's just some nuances, regardless of using a camera and or a smartphone, that you can utilize your space better. And so, but that is to answer your $100 question. I would say microphone, tripod, and then use a window.
Yeah, and it sounds like at a push you may be able to just squeeze in a light there for under $100 as well. The poll is coming through now, Dan. Actually, thank you, Daniel, for posting this. Looks as if most people are creating with their phones predominantly. So let's just say if a creator wanted to stick with their phone. I noticed you mentioned, Omar, that usually the microphone on, let's say, a $300 to $400 smartphone is probably going to be quite good anyway. And I know one of the small hacks that you can sometimes use is if your phone has a wide angle lens, switch it to the wide angle lens, but because that allows you to bring the phone closer to your voice. So you're still capturing the same frame, so to speak, but because you're closer to the camera, it sounds better. Are there any other smartphone specific accessories you might suggest? I mean, I've sometimes seen these tiny little ring lights that go on smartphones, but I kind of feel as if they're probably not suitable. Would you think about a Gorilla tripod? First suggestions for a smartphone creator.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think understanding that the iPhone or whatever smartphone, even if it's in the last like 4 years or so, that it's on you to make it shine. So like they do what they can, right? They give you 4K, but out of the box it shoots in 1080. So like there's one area of upgrade that is free, is to go and make sure in your settings that you change, you know, your primary settings, that when you open up the video app that it shoots in 4K. I mean, I've noticed that in my iPhone, it just comes in like 1080, 60. And so I notice most people will probably just start creating content in 1080 when their phone could shoot in 4K. Side note, people do this with cameras they buy too. They buy a nice 4K camera and they're shooting in 1080. That's okay. But that's something that's free, and understanding that shooting in a better resolution will give a better quality image. And then another free hack, like I said, was giving the phone, give your subject, if it's yourself or whatever you're shooting, light. Another way to make a image stand out better using a smartphone is by supplying light. And so if your table is on the other side of a window, bring a table close to a window and let that light that comes in hit. You'd be surprised, literally your video level up because you changed the resolution and then you changed the lighting. And I do think, like I mentioned, if you plan on, if you really want to create a distinction between your video quality and your video in general, if you use the dynamic mic, so let's just say hypothetically speaking, you got a mic like this, which is $100, which is better than buying an $800 camera. I'm just buying a $100, USB mic, that you can actually capture like audio that sounds so good that it actually will make people look past your blurry background, or have people look past whatever, if you're shooting in front of a window, but your audio is just crispy as heck. We say that audio is 50% of video. If you ever watched a good video with bad audio, you probably clicked off because it's distracting. But you can actually hack the quality of your video by increasing the audio quality. And the Samson Q2U is a $60 or $70 mic here in the US, and that could plug straight into your phone. It's a USB mic. You can plug it straight into your phone, or you can record on whatever, if you have a computer to edit your video on. But I definitely think it's so much more than just the camera, in my opinion, and understanding that lighting and audio is kind of everything. But those are a few things that I would say to smartphone creators that you could start implementing. Another free, I guess you could say, upgrade is understanding frames per second, right? So this costs you no money to know that when you shoot talking head videos on your smartphone, to shoot in 4K 24 or 30 frames per second. But also understand that smartphones today, if you like, my smartphone's 2 years old and it has 4K 60 frames per second. If you understand frames per second and how you can slow that 60 frames into 24 or 30 frames per second, now I'm getting like super smooth slow motion in my video. Again, free. I mean, I didn't pay extra to be able to do that. I just had to be aware that my smartphone could do such a thing. And they do have super slow motion, but you can literally have 4K 60 footage in your video, slowed down 50%, and really stand out. I'm actually I'm a little convicted because sometimes we go down the camera train a little bit too deep on our channel, when the reality is like expanding the mind of like, how far can we really push a smartphone, I think would definitely suit. Like, what was the percentage you said based off of like people who answered?
54% are using their phone right now.
Yeah. And I would argue that the other 46% probably aren't even using the cameras they bought a camera, but they're also like not fully. So like they have a camera, right? So I do think that number is actually even greater than the 54%, as far as like people who even buy cameras are like, I would rather just use my smartphone. There's a dentist that Heather kind of has been coaching and stuff, who has has his own practice, but like started his YouTube channel, and she's helped him like start it off, and he's been using his phone and he's been getting traction using his phone. And she's like, all right, you're ready to, upgrade. You should get an M50 with the Sigma, 16 lens. And he's like, all right, cool. And just because of the difficulty of creating and slowing his upload schedule and that being altered simply because of a gear adjustment, that's not the point. The point is to actually make it as easy as possible to shoot video and create video. Hence is why that camera that dropped yesterday, I really was excited about for our community in particular, because Sony really, I think, has dialed in like what it means to have like a smart auto mode, as opposed to an auto mode that isn't that intelligent, I guess you could say.
Trying to remember, I was going to ask you something, but it was so far back into the conversation now. But I forgot what it was completely. So I'm sure people are eager to start asking some questions. It was really interesting to see how many people here are using their phones, and I'm pretty encouraged by that. What were all the options there, Rob? I don't have the YouTube.
So it was phone, camera, and video capture, because we know we have a lot of gamers as well, and a quarter of people are using video capture as well, which leads to faceless channels, or not necessarily having even a face on camera for those types of channels.
I'm working on a video right now where I've asked people to send some gaming videos, because we're gonna review some of them, help them improve a little bit. And yeah, you'll never guess what the one thing I keep consistently running into over and over and over, and that's audio. So even folks here who don't plan on using a camera, one way or another to make their videos, audio is just number one in my book. And I wasn't really surprised by that at all. It was what I kind of expected to see. After.
Yeah, I hear you've been a bit of a glutton for punishment on that one, Dan, because you've got about 500 submissions.
No, I got about 600 submissions.
Oh dear.
But I have a whole bunch. I need to start recording it now, because I had some fantastic submissions to share, and it's going to be pretty good. So check that out. A little teaser for you. Do we want to jump into some Q&A?
Yeah, I think let's do it. So this is a point at where we encourage your questions. We try to start off with topic-centric questions for the live stream. So we're really interested in your questions about gear and production, etc., etc. And this is where I will enable slow mode on the live streams. It allows us to pick up the questions easily. And if you could start your question with hashtag question as well, that would really, really help us. I guess just in the meantime, let's just remind everybody about, I guess, the phenomenal work that Omar and the literally the hundreds of people who work on Think Media, unlike vidIQ. Sorry, I'm not bitter or anything. But I just kind of describe Think Media as the go-to place for anything YouTube/video production related. So it's not only YouTube education, but there's so much education on the right equipment to use. And I think just the amount of, I find this incredible that you're able to produce 5 videos a week as well, Omar, on the channel. Plus, you're also dabbling in shorts as well. How's that been going on the Think Media channel?
Yeah, we do have a set goal to try to get to 2 shorts a week. I think we are in the beta phase, as I think everybody kind of is, because there's a level to, I'm a crispy guy. Like, I was like, man, I want our shorts to stand out. So when I started creating the few that I did earlier this year, I was shooting them vertically on a nice camera with a nice lens, which, obviously increased the level of like time consumption when it came to editing. And we just found, honestly, that like, I think I'm undervaluing the power of just like turning on my phone and answering a specific question with my smartphone to create that short. And so we have uploaded a few. The most recent one that we've uploaded about 2 weeks ago, if you scroll down a little bit, is like Nolan's tips on camera, using your camera right there. It's kind of broken through, and it's nice. Added. I think we got 100 or so subscribers from it, and it's gotten caught in like the short chef or the shorts shelf or the shorts recommendation flow, and because it's also understanding like the way I personally consume shorts, and it's catered to what I'm into. But all that to say, we definitely are going to start. We're trying to get to that 2 a week to be able to just have more of a case study, I guess you could say, on it. I think there is a dynamic and a tension that we are always trying to manage, and that is trying to keep up with where things are going, and then also just staying consistent and true to what we are and what we're trying to produce. Like, we do believe that videos should be as short as possible, but as long as necessary. And with attention spans getting more finite because of short form video, there might be some wisdom in polarizing yourself as more of a long form type of content creator, because when people are watching your stuff, then they want to be there and they're going deeper with you, versus viral culture is getting known for something that maybe you didn't want to be known for. So I mean, that's kind of a side rant or something, but we are trying to get more consistent on uploading shorts. I think it's more or less just like allowing it to not, because when we first started it, we were putting the same intense and intentionality with the title and the thumbnail and the tags. And that was one reason why we went hard and then stopped, Yeah. So there is some wisdom, I think, to just knowing that, like, what is a helpful tip and can you get people there in under 60 seconds? And so, like, for instance, one I'm thinking about right now is, what is clean HDMI versus dirty HDMI? Like, I don't need a 5-minute video to like explain that, but like with my smartphone here on my live stream setup, I can like make my Canon show all the settings on my thing and then show how I can turn it off. And then that's that, like, I think there's wisdom in creating the shorts because of the algorithm favoring it right now. And how you can just be discovered. And like, again, we try to attribute ourselves to being ones that give value. And so I think it's a cool thing to be known for something that helps people. And I think that's one way, or one reason why shorts, it's the extremes. It's like teaching something very valuable and helpful, or being so entertaining that it just keeps you locked. I know a lot of people like want to be entertaining. The chances are not everyone's entertaining. Not everyone has like the personality to be entertaining or to go out beyond yourself for the sake of virality. But who knows? Like, who knows where this video will be? But that's pretty crazy as far as like, Nolan making this guy and it doing what it's doing right now.
Yeah, I think that the big question, certainly for, I'm not going to say search-based channels, but education channels, utility channels who rely on evergreen content over a long period of time. What your hope is, I guess, with this one is that it's going to continue to be pushed on the short shelf. Now, are YouTube Shorts going to be searchable in the future so that, as you say, people would love 5 tips for smartphones in 60 seconds or clean HDMI versus dirty HDMI? But how much is YouTube going to help search-based content within YouTube Shorts? And so it's going to be fascinating to know whether a video like this is going to continue to get traffic on Shorts. Dan, have we found any questions yet? Let's bring some up. Right.
Okay, so I think I had to read this one a couple times. I think I know what they meant, though. Do you recommend any editing apps for making my YouTube videos, which are free? The one question I would have back to you is, what kind of creator are you? Because we have to answer this kind of now for smartphone creators and for desktop creators. So when you guys are asking your questions, be sure to put just a little more detail in there. Omar, do you know any mobile editing apps? Because I always struggle with this. I never edit on my phone.
No, I do. I mean, as far as free goes, it's tough because I wish I had my smartphone. It's in the kitchen. There are, like, if you type in video editing app on, I think Filmora, like every app has a free version per se, but the second you want to do something like make a jump cut, they're like, skirt, you like hand over the money. So I would actually encourage, if you edit on your iPhone, it's $20, $25 to use LumaFusion. LumaFusion is such a great smartphone editing app for Apple. And if you even have an iPad, you can also use it. And it literally is such a great layout and easy to use. I think if you have an Android, which a lot of more people typically own Androids, is it's called Filmora.
I think, that sounds familiar.
Another app. I'm trying to see how much is the cost for it. Like, I mean, there is a free version, but that would be the one I'd recommend using, and that's free. And they also have Filmora for your desktop. So maybe to answer the free question when using your desktop or laptop, Filmora would be that one, I would say, for you. And then there's like your computer or laptop, definitely has a free software on there, whether it be Windows Movie Maker or iMovie. And we actually have like, I think it's almost like a 2-hour tutorial on iMovie if you want to learn how to use that on our channel. But I would say that use the free software that's on your computer or desktop if you're using that to edit. But spending that extra, to get the full version of something on your smartphone is worth it, because you're going to want to implement text here and there. And so, yeah, that's what I would encourage.
The other desktop one that I've heard used a lot is DaVinci Resolve. It is going to be a little more complex, and there is a paid version of that too, but people really like it for its free version.
For
sure. You will need to take some lessons. You'll need to kind of brush up on your skills a little bit, but all of these things that were just said are an investment in yourself, whether you're paying for an app on your phone or you're taking the time to learn how to use iMovie a little bit better, or you're buying vidIQ. Like, all of these things are an investment into yourself and the content you're creating. So it's always good to start out free. It's always good to kind of dip your toe in that way and see, is this for me? Is this a hobby I really want to pursue? Because I mean, that's the best way to think about it too. Even if you want it to be a business in the future, look at it as a hobby. Hobbies still cost money. So,
oh, nice slogan. Hobby still costs money.
Hobbies
Yeah.
Sorry,
Just got into golf. That sucker is expensive.
I've got to bring this up. I do apologize. Slight side story. So people just think I went to the washroom, right? Which is not the case. What actually happened? I don't know if you noticed this. About 10 minutes ago, my wife just came in and then quickly disappeared. So I wanted to check what she was asking for, and literally, while I'm in a live stream, she was saying, "Oh, I just needed to know, how do you spell facetious? Because when I type it in, I'm spelling it so wrong. I can't even Google search it. So if anybody can type facetious correctly into the chat, you get a thumbs up and a star from me."
Rob, my life hack for this is to use your phone assistant and just say the word facetious.
I do that. That's exactly what I do. Yeah,
that's what I do. That's funny.
Wisdom.
Anyway, where were we? Is that going to help people make better videos? I don't know.
We've answered one question. Okay, so let's see. Someone put a question but didn't ask. Someone put hashtag question but didn't ask a question. I'm trying to read it again here just to make sure.
Now we're just getting loads of that word now. Is that spelt correctly? I don't know.
Let's see.
I've seen this one, I think, a couple of times, maybe comparing smartphones to action cameras. Wonder XR7 asks, I'm a smartphone user, I guess, do vlogs, and I do need more dollars for tech like a GoPro Hero 9 because I don't want to spend as many dollars, but I will if that's what it takes. So that seems more like a statement than a question, but I guess for certain types of video content, Omar, is there quickly a glass ceiling whereby if I want to start riding my bike or I'm going to do parkour, then I need to invest in very much a dedicated camera to do that? I don't know if there are any shortcuts or hacks to that type of thing, whether it's sellotaping your iPhone to your head or anything.
I mean, no, I think like vlogging is, this is just my opinion, like I don't vlog all that much, but when I do, because sometimes I like to create a video in a vlog format, answering specific questions. But the number one word that comes to me is convenience. And anytime it kind of takes away, there's been so many times where I've brought a new camera to test out and I just don't want to pull it out because it's clunky, yada, 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 so I say all that to say, specifically for vlogging, like the smartphone, especially with the wide angle that most smartphones have had for the last 2-3 years, it's incredible. Like, it looks like a GoPro in my opinion. And you holding it close enough to your mouth, you don't need a mic. I do think the GoPro is a super awesome camera value for it. If you're one to think, if you're one to separate the two, nah, man, I just want to use my phone for phone things and I need a camera to vlog with, the GoPro is awesome for as far as convenience goes. And then obviously the quality is there if you're outside and stuff. But for me, I mean, in my genuine attempt at doing vlogs and creating vlog style content, I just like the idea of using my smartphone. It's just, especially when there's sun outside, and things like that. The GoPro is probably one of the best values though when it comes to camera prices and the ability to, you can use a GoPro for your webcam. You can use a GoPro for your talking head video. Nolan is currently kind of like on this GoPro journey to create tons of GoPro. We haven't really, touched on it too much on our channel. So, but you just answered your question. You're a smartphone YouTuber and you do vlogs and you need more money, but you don't want to spend that much. Then just be the greatest smartphone creator vlogger that you possibly can. And then, kind of grow from there. And I think what's cool is the jump, because you have, identified yourself as someone to do vlogs, the jump is a clear jump versus somebody who does talking head YouTube videos or live streaming where you're trying to, you're updating here and there, not making like this one big purchase. The clear jump that you have identified or self-identified is the GoPro Hero 9. Make your smartphone's content pay for that GoPro Hero 9. Because I can tell you right now that making that purchase isn't going to make that, thing. So like, what could you do to maximize your smartphone? Is it coming up with an online product that lines up with whatever content you're creating that can then fund the GoPro, and you're just reinvesting back into what you're doing as far as creating an online business using YouTube? Those are just more of the deeper questions, I think. But your issue isn't upgrading. Your issue is to really maximize the use of your smartphone.
You're so right about that concept of convenience, and it's one of these things that creators are probably going to get annoyed when I say this. But when you have too much choice, you're sometimes paralyzed by that choice. An example I'll give you recently: I went on vacation and I got myself one of those Insta 360 cameras, which actually does 360, and I probably used it once or twice because setting it up or recording by accident in a wrong setting, etc., etc., etc. I just ended up going back to my Pixel 5 because 95% of the time I needed just some clean video, or I needed to do a time lapse, or I needed to do a slow motion, and the Pixel 5 could do all of that on a nice big touchscreen. And yeah, I'm coming away with that 360 camera thinking, you know what? I didn't use it enough. I'm probably going to sell it. I just like being able to pull out a camera from my pocket and using it immediately to capture that moment rather than spending 2 or 3 minutes on setup.
A lot can be said for convenience. If it gets you, like your story from earlier, Omar, about the dentist, if it gets you creating content, in the first place, like do what you're comfortable with. Like you don't have to shovel a bunch of money at stuff because everybody tells you, oh, well, you should get the GoPro Hero 9.
Right.
if things are going well for you and you don't want to spend the money right now.
Right.
I wanted to clear this up really quick because I mentioned this and I didn't want to cause any confusion. So vidIQ doesn't have any editing software. I was just kind of rattling off a list of ways you can invest in yourself, whether it's buying editing software, buying our product, vidIQ, things like that. So I just wanted to make it very clear we don't have video editing software at this time. That would be cool. All right. And let's see here. I think this was the next one I was going to pick. It's all very well saying use a smartphone. Android continually do little bounce zoom and as focusing. I'm not sure what they mean by that. What lower price 1080 camcorder and action camera would you recommend? What lens angle?
I'm guessing there's a criticism there of maybe a certain type of Android smartphone camera that's doing
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I think the first fix, as far as I know, if you hold down on the screen of your smartphone, it'll lock the exposure and it'll also lock the focus. So if you're having issues with it, like jumping, doing anything, you can lock it by holding down on whatever subject. If you're by yourself, put something instead of you, lock the focus and exposure, and then remove it, and then shoot your video. That's how I would solve that first issue. And then as far as like the lower price, like 1080 camcorder or action camera, I mean, that's tough because like I don't know what low price is, but the lens, just understanding this concept is going to be helpful when you do look for stuff. Is the lens is what gives you the look. So like the look I have right now is what would be called a medium wide shot, but I have a blurry background. That's the look of this kind of setup. The M50 isn't giving me this look. It is giving, the lens that I'm using is giving me this look. So I say all that to say you can buy an older Sony camera, and Sony also has an old Sony 16mm 2.8 lens. I guess I can like share my Amazon again, just so you guys can get a vibe. I want no excuses whatsoever from being able to do what you can. So you want to throw that up? I don't know if I have the power to do that.
Sure.
Boom. So I'm going to type in Sony 16 millimeter 2.8. Okay. This guy. Don't be fooled. Okay. Check this out. You scroll down here. Look at this sucker. Right now, there's one for 117 bucks. Cool. We're at $117. And then I'm going to now go to OfferUp.com. I'm going to type in Sony. We got, look at that. Look at this guy. 290. 117 bucks, under 400 bucks, and you're actually going to produce the exact same look that I have right now.
Wow.
My cost was 700 plus 400. So for 20%, 30% of that price. So I would say go for an older, or you can go, you can also go like, you know, I think we undervalue some of like the older Canons and stuff, but like you can still get great video using a Canon 60D. $400 on OfferUp. So I don't know. I mean, I don't have like a true, I guess you could say, like answer to like what is that cheap camera, especially with like camera inflation right now. It's like a funny time, but it's just the principle of the lens. So like if you're gonna get an old camera with a kit lens, chances are your current smartphone probably just looks better. And like I mentioned earlier, you could shoot 4K with your smartphone, but that's kind of like the principle that I want a lot of people to know. A lot of the times you don't even have to, when you're ready to make that jump to your camera, maybe hold off on the jump if you want to just buy the body and the lens. Again, that will give you the look. And I could tell you right now, if you buy a camera with the kit lens and you shoot in program auto mode and you don't do anything else, you're going to be very dissatisfied in that sense. So, yeah.
In that question, Omar, there was a very antiquated word that was used in the modern YouTube world, and that was camcorder. Is there ever a time when you may recommend a camcorder to someone? I myself used a camcorder up until around about 2016, and what I liked about it is the fact that you flip open the flip screen and it's ready to shoot straight away. There's very much a run and gun style to it, but I guess smartphones have kind of replaced that accessibility. Is there any reason why you might want a camcorder?
No, I think back, a little bit ago, I was like, we don't make enough smartphone content for people on our channel. I do say we don't talk about camcorders enough. And I do say that I do think there is a lot of use for that. Here are just some to name a few. If you plan on doing stuff outdoors and you just, you don't even want to think about settings, and obviously this is all, I think, stemming from a place of like, you want your phone to be your phone and not your camera. Cool. And you have the money and you just want to hit record on something and it be all crisp. Yeah, you can get a 4K camcorder. And I would say that would be best for like, there's like this golf channel I follow called Good Golf. And they're doing like shot by shot, but they're outside and it's a vlog style thing. Like, I think one of them use a camcorder, and like the video quality out of camcorders does look good. It looks a little bit different as far as like not being able to get like that depth of field, but clarity is more important. Audio is more important. And then I also think about like people who do, maybe you're a mechanic and you're trying to do something that takes a long time. Maybe like, I want to show how to do this oil change and I just need to point a camera and hit record. Like you mentioned, Rob, like, yeah, camcorders are easy for that. And so, yeah, I mean, I would say if you plan on shooting longer than, your typical, maybe your 30-minute threshold, because cheaper DSLRs can't do that. So if that's one area you're trying to get past and you don't care about a blurry background, you just like, I want a clear image. I think that there's just a ton of like, yeah, there's a ton on Amazon when you type in 4K camcorder. Maybe don't get the $100 guy because which we made a video on the $100 4K camera on Amazon.
Nolan managed to pull that off, didn't he? Yeah, that was a very interesting one to watch. That one.
There's this Sony one, but no, like this is cool because it's small and it's compact. It shoots 1080, you know, and you can zoom in like. And they obviously put an island because they know all the dads and moms are going to bring this on their family vacation marketing. But they're just type in, you know, 4K. If you, like, I think even you'd be so surprised that like, so why, I mean, maybe a deeper question would be why spend $800 on a camcorder versus spending $800 on like, you know, a Sony interchangeable lens camera. Like I mentioned, your use, like, if you don't want to think about anything and you just want a clear image, I would get a camcorder like that. I don't even want to overthink too much of it, but like you open this up, you point it at whatever you want to shoot at, and then it's going to record really clean, crispy video.
There you go. Camcorders. So I found this question, a little bit different, but still kind of on the same subject. I want to go live with gaming, but my laptop couldn't carry the recording and the game at the same time. Should I consider buying a new PC for gaming, or should I find a new game to play and go live with?
Ooh.
I guess. Sorry,
I was going to ask Dan, what's the lightweight, the most lightweight capture recording tool? Is it going to be OBS or something else?
I would say either OBS, or if you have a newer computer and has an NVIDIA card, NVIDIA has built-in capture software. I haven't found anything to be better than that, to be totally honest. I don't know. I'm always using a tower. I'm not sure about laptops. I feel like graphics cards, like a dedicated graphics card in a laptop would probably still have the same benefit, but you know, do your research. This is a tough one because you have to do one uncomfortable thing. Either you need to upgrade your setup, which is going to cost money, or you need to change your game, which might cost you passion points. You know, if you're not super passionate about the game you're going to play, then you only have the one option, and it's to upgrade your setup. So it can be very tough. But if you have other games that you enjoy and you want to create content around them, yeah, that's a great way to start. Maybe start now with a simpler game, one that's not going to tax your computer too much. Play it, you know, get used to recording, kind of make all of your mistakes playing this other game. And then when you're ready, when you have the money, or when Christmas comes around or whatever it is, buy yourself or get yourself a nicer computer that can kind of do both. It's getting easier and easier. I would recommend OBS if you don't have the built-in NVIDIA capture stuff. But yeah, it's getting easier, and I would also say that those settings can be tweaked and tweaked and tweaked in OBS to make it so that the game performance is speedy, and maybe you lose a little bit of quality, but like we were talking about, if your microphone is good enough, a lot of people will look past that slight quality loss, the lower bit rate, things like that. So those are if I were to poop out some tips for you really fast, that would be that, if anyone has anything to add.
My guess is, Dan, like with a game, people will probably prefer lower video quality as long as the performance and frames per second was acceptable. I mean, I'm talking maybe going from 1080p to 720p. Anything lower then it might be a bit of a stretch. But again, it also depends on the game itself. Like, I don't think people are too fussed about the graphics on Fortnite, but they may be on like some heavy duty game that's recently been released. So yeah, there's that. I guess that trade-off. There are so many videos on YouTube these days about how to improve the performance of the game. So you may want to start there in terms of how to get the best performance out of your game for the lowest CPU cost or GPU cost, and then think about integrating the screen recording side of this when you've got a bit of bandwidth to play with.
Because I forgot about that too. You can lower the settings in the game itself, and that will also help you compensate for, you know, because I think the number one thing you need is frame rate. You know, get your frame rate good first, and then try to up the actual quality little by little. Just test the limits. It took me ages and ages to like tune this up when I had a crummier computer, you know, a crummier setup when I was first starting out. So it's frustrating, but one thing I probably didn't do enough of was lean more heavily on tutorials. I just kind of, for some reason, felt like beating my head against a desk. And I don't know what that was. I don't know why I didn't think to search for more tutorials. I watched like one. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. No, like watch as many as it takes. Everyone's gonna have a different approach and different ways to tune things up. All right,
I want
just
to
refresh
talk
chat
briefly about this.
Oh,
Ever a reason, Omar, why somebody may choose a webcam for filming? I know the obvious answer is cost, but I kind of want to illustrate this directly because I have that exact webcam, and this is now how I look.
I liked it better the way you had it.
Yeah, this is actually a Logitech C920.
Is that a C920?
This is the Elgato face cam.
Oh,
Is that the new one? The new one?
Yeah, and look how it just ruins my skin.
It's nice though. It looks a lot nicer than
I mean, yeah, I think it does like the 60 frames. I love how light it is, and like I can actually show off like my whole setup. Here you go. One camera, two camera. Anyway.
But wait, what's that thing that's blinking down there?
Yeah, your desk looks far too organized.
I have a little OCD. This is a Blackmagic 810. It's only blinking because of the hertz. I guess it's processing.
Right.
But the ability to just change between my main angle and the side angle. But I don't know. Like, I guess you could say like the difference between that and this actually I think it's like $300. So like
yeah.
If you're gonna go webcam, definitely go Logitech. I think for it to save. But just if you already have a camera, it doesn't take much to like get this level, you know? And so my favorite comment is like, this ain't a live stream. Like anytime I do something, I'm like, that's right. You thought it wasn't, but it is. But yeah, again, it's not about content value when it comes to gaming, I think is number one. And you don't want to lose people because your stream is cutting off and stuff.
It is very important, yeah.
This capture card that I think has transformed many creators' opportunities to record or live stream with a really good existing camera. Before there was the Elgato one, which was about $150, and then I think sometime last year these $20 ones came out, which seemed to do pretty much the same job. So I think all of us will agree that we're not using webcams. We are all using a DSLR of some description plugged into one of these capture cards, which allows us to have the video quality that we have here. And the only one problem sometimes with these setups is there's a bit of a audio video lag or sync that's not quite right, which I've never been quite able to fix on my live streams. But
yours looks good now. Mine, I'm pretty sure mine's lagging.
Yeah, I think
it's that, and I'm hoping StreamYard will add the audio delay feature.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you're running through OBS, you can choose. You know, I've done a handful of tests where like they tell you like do a clap, throw that clip into a editing software, and then get your frames between the clap and the actual noise, and then you adjust it, and then your OBS becomes your webcam to whatever you're doing. But no, I definitely think. Like, how's mine? I wouldn't even know. Does mine have a lag?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I'm running my camera into that Blackmagic, and then my mic straight into my Mac Mini, and there will be a delay. But
isn't it funny how everybody has just like that one tiny little request to make StreamYards better? Like the thing that we want is to be able to stack up questions so that we can look through a list and say, right, we're going to stack up 5 questions, and then we can peel them all off because we just have to switch from one to the other. Such a good piece of software, and it's just almost there all of the time to make it absolutely perfect.
So I pulled this question. We did talk about this earlier. So if you want a more detailed answer, we'd probably encourage you to rewind the stream. Think Media's channels linked down below as well. But are there free ways to improve camera quality? Basically, we would have to ask you, what are you using? Because the answer is pretty much yes, and it all comes down to settings. But it would be different for, say, a smartphone user versus someone who just bought a nice fancy camera. I'll let Omar take it away from here, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless of what camera you have, back to like lighting, and I know like not to buy lighting, but like if you need to supply more light, using a window is a free way to improve your camera quality. Back to the smartphone hack is if you're not using 4K, but your phone can shoot in 4K, and that's just a setting fix, that's another way to improve your camera quality. If you're using your smartphone to shoot and you are far away from your camera when you're shooting, coming close to your camera is a free way to improve your camera quality because of the audio will be improved. And then other free ways to improve audio is blankets and pillows and rugs. Like dampening any echo with fabric you already own is a free way to improve your video quality. And I think that's and then on the camera standpoint, 100%, like learn your camera. It's yours. Like become and I don't want to say master, but like just know how to get your settings dialed in with your camera, and being able to know the double shutter rule. Your aperture, is it as low as it can go, and then adjusting your ISO accordingly, all which don't require anything other than understanding that checklist system I guess I started out this stream with. But those are all free ways that you can level up the quality of your video. I guess another free way to level up the quality of your video is to level up the content, like value. And whether it be long drawn out points that you have in your video to make them more concise, maybe it's demonstrating, maybe it's there's no cost to this, but the cost of time. Maybe implementing B-roll into your talking head YouTube videos might be a free addition to what you're using to improve the quality of your videos. And what B-roll is, if you didn't know, was if you're demonstrating something, so if you say, this is how you do something, on the off time of you saying that, film yourself doing that or film in a vlog style and then put that clip over your talking head. And you've just improved your video quality, in my opinion, because now you're keeping the viewer engaged. Again, didn't cost anything. So those are some ways I think you can, like, for free, improve your camera quality.
What about fix it in post? Is there ever a time where you would say, my camera is just not up to the standard, but what I do have and what I do know is how to color grade it correctly and do it there? Is there ever an argument that you should try and do that, or is it always better to get the right footage as you record?
I mean, I think it's just a best practice. Like, I think it's best practice to dial in your audio so you don't need to add any effects. I think it's best practice to dial in your colors so it doesn't need any. I appreciate, like, the reason why I actually appreciate color science is not on a filmmaker's perspective. It's on just like a straight out of the camera perspective. Like, I love Sony's new color science out of their newer cameras, straight out of camera. But I would argue that those tools and effects that you can use to improve audio and video, you should be on the side of enhancing rather than fixing. Obviously, there is that leverage. Oh, I love that. Fix it in camera, finesse it in post. Yeah, that's the idea of being able to add to your video in post, which would be essentially a free way to improve your video quality. I think, again, back to like the B-roll aspect of things, you can create title screens from Canva, like moving title screens, like whoosh, tip number 1, blah, 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 blah. And it's free, Canva. And you put that on top of your talking head. You just increased, I think, the quality of your video by adding elements like that. So I think editing should enhance the already made video. And I would say no, that like because you color graded your video a certain way, did it increase the production value? I think that's not what people are like even looking for. They're looking for information. And so I wouldn't want to tell a new creator to go down that path, like learning how to color grade. Color fix is another thing, like changing the temperature. That's just a tweak, like, oh, maybe it was a little bit warm, I should probably cool it off a little bit. That's like easy fixes. But back to editing, it should enhance your video more than fix your video, although you could. But if your audio is peaking from your record session, you're not gonna be able to fix that. If it was recorded too low and then you increase the volume and now there's noise in your audio introduced, again, too low. So I think through on how to like do the best you can to get what you want out of that shoot session, so you don't have to do all that stuff in post.
I've thought of a question that I think we should all just try and add our little bits of insight into. And the question would be, what are the things that you don't think about when you're buying a camera that actually become really important when you start using it? And so to give you an example, and maybe we can go across the room a little bit here, and again, people in the chat, please do offer your suggestions. Something might be, make sure that you get a flip out LCD screen so that if you are recording, you can actually see yourself while framing. That might be one suggestion. What about you, Dan?
I did a lot of thinking and research when I got mine, so I haven't run into anything too bad. The thing I needed that I didn't have right away was a battery that was not a battery, like a hardwire for it. And thanks to the pandemic, it was just supply chain was broken. I couldn't get one for months. So I would say having all those little accessories, you don't really think about it, and not even lenses, just little things like that are going to make your life 10 times easier, whether it's a tripod or that's the other thing I got more recently too, because of the supply chain. I got myself an Elgato multi-arm. So now I need to kind of keep tweaking it because I don't really love the way it's positioned, but I can move the camera now in all sorts of different ways. And I couldn't do that before because I had just a static tripod and it didn't fit very well around my desk. And, so yeah, accessories, I guess, would be my short answer.
Omar?
The question is like, what do you look for to make creating content easier?
What didn't you think about? You bought a camera and you were like,
things
oops.
that caught you off guard, perhaps.
I mean, I know this is funny, but the most recent thing was in that we all got like A7S3s, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, 4K, 60, 120 frames, 10-bit, 12, like, dude, that is so heavy on our computers. And like, even with like our good, I've been using it on an M1, but I underrated the ability to edit faster with higher end, video files. I know this is kind of deep, but like, I wish we didn't do that. A part of me is like, does our videos look cleaner, better? Sure, it probably does, but like, nobody noticed. Like, nobody said, "Oh my gosh, you guys have really like leveled up the quality." And so I value time, and so I have a proxy workflow when I'm editing because of that purchase. So that was one thing I didn't really think of when buying the A7S III. Love the camera, but I also can't even preview the clips. Like, on my Mac, I love the space bar preview scrub. I can't do that because like it just, you need, like, I don't know if like the Finder needs to be updated or something, but totally didn't see that coming.
It's funny that you say that. I still film in 1080p. I render everything in 1080 just because, anything 4K can be more taxing, and it just adds 20 to 30% time to the workflow. And in a recent video, I said at the end, "Oh, did you know I recorded this in 4K? Did anyone notice?" And nobody noticed. Nobody cared at all. So I'm sticking to 1080p. Another thing I would say, this is a big bugbear for me, this is when you buy a camera and you don't realize that the SD card and the battery bay door are actually blocked by the tripod, so that if you want to get to your memory card or battery, you have to detach the camera from the tripod. And the way I film, which is to film, edit, I don't kind of do batches. That infuriates me. So as you say, Dan, for the Sony ZV-1, I had to buy an additional accessory, which, and Omar's showing it now, an additional accessory that allows me to get to the bay door. Because you just can't do that because the tripod mount is so close to the door. And, I didn't realize that. And another, and here was a really crazy thing, the Canon M50, which I also tried as well. If the bay door is open, the camera doesn't work. I think the bay door needs to be closed so that the battery initiates. And so that was a deal breaker for me, because I always have my bay door open to get access to the SD card. So that was another thing. I don't know why camera manufacturers don't put the SD card slot on the side of a camera so it's easily accessible. I'm sure there's huge design headaches there. But thank you for demonstrating there, Roman. That was really useful.
It is funny. that like Canons can't record with the door open, especially because like I mean that's what I'm like when this first came. I was glad that like at least the door could be like half opened, and it still record. But yeah, taking out the SD card was tough because you did have to like fully screw it off. But like yeah, the Canon has the little rubber that opens up to put the continuous power on it, but yeah, 100% with the SD card. It's kind of annoying. Just little things, you know?
Yeah, well, you just mentioned there as well, Omar, continuous power. I have gone through various incarnations of a Sony CV1 to work out how to continuously power it, because it does have an option to do USB directly to computer for streaming. But whenever I try that, after 2 hours, the camera loses battery juice. So I've had to learn that I still need to plug the Sony ZV-1 into the mains to keep it USB charged. So that I'm now going through the HDMI streaming. And as we've also mentioned as well, making sure that you have a clean HDMI output to the computer. So you're not seeing all of my, all my settings on my screen, which I can see over there on my camera, but I can't see it on screen. I could go on with this. That's why I brought up the question. But if we're running out of things, I'm more than happy to move on.
I'd have to start looking for some more questions here.
All right. Hot shoe mount, that's another one as well. You've got to make sure you got one of them on the top of the camera and it doesn't block anything if you want to attach microphones or lights. Because I'm not sure if every camera does have a hot shoe mount.
This one's about lights. Any other light suggestions beyond the light box? I'm considering a newer flat light as they seem to take up less space.
Fantastic question, because I have this problem. We've talked about soft boxes and stuff. They are far too huge for my room, so that's why I have to have like a flat panel ring light. So yeah, any suggestions here, Omar, for alternatives would be good.
So the key when it comes to like lighting just in general, whether it be a softbox or not, is soft and diffused, right? So I think the potential issue of those like flat panels is that they produce a very harsh directional light that unless you have a diffuser over it will not look as flattering. But again, I'm not like an overthink it guy. Don't overthink it. Like, dude, if you need a slim thing, get a slim thing. My recommendation is to potentially look into these type of things. And they have them on Amazon, but it's like very skinny. And this is a GVM, like pancake light, but they make these kind of lights pretty massive on Amazon. If you search like diffused desk light or I forget like what the actual, I'll look it up right now. But yeah, look how slim this guy is. And, it's mounted on my desk, but I would say this would probably give off the best look when it comes to lighting up close. So more than those, the newer flat panel ones, unless you need a kit. I mean, that's the other. It's all budget wisdom. But let me see. And I think Newer actually sells it. Newer circle light.
This again goes back to the question of convenience,
right?
You're making a sacrifice of maybe having a bit more of a harsher light, but it's going to be so much easier to use in and around your workspace. And I think a lot of panel lights do come now with some sort of diffuser in it. I mean, obviously it's not perfect, but I think a lot of them come with something at least built in to a certain extent.
Share my screen real quick.
Yeah.
So this is like a newer's version, 18 inches. The one I showed you was like, I think 11 inches or something like that. But this is not a bad option if like, especially if space. And then like, I always like a purchase that you can use in multiple settings. So like when you do start to live stream, maybe you want to, like this is a good option. Yeah, that's all. I mean, just knowing that this is a possibility. Other than like the traditional, like these kind of lights.
Right.
But I don't know, like, again, don't overthink it. Like, dude, just shoot. If you have a small space, I found that like even you can, if you have a white wall, you can bounce light too. like bounce your light off of your white wall, and then it'll produce a flatter, more diffuse look. I have a video that might be very helpful for you, and it's called lighting mistakes that I literally use like panel lighting to help you out. So check out this lighting tutorial for beginners, and it'll help using a flat panel. And that's for Brian.
I'm currently using 2 of the Elgato key lights. I just kind of put myself in their whole ecosystem. And I love that I can hook them up to the Stream Deck and all that stuff. But these are pointed directly at me, but I've been seeing people use the white wall trick. And I've been thinking about doing that because sometimes they're just like so bright after a live stream like this is 2 hours long. My eyes are just like, oh my gosh. I just need to put myself in a dark room for a while. So yeah, that's I love the flat panel lights. So there's so many options now.
This is I guess a good question of putting everything together as we have done through something that's very simple and lightweight in terms of how we stream. Bobby Loves Beauty asking, what do we use to go live? We're using something called StreamYard, and there are unbelievable benefits to this that include this all going through a web browser. So it's very lightweight. You could do this pretty much. You could do this on a Chromebook, I think, as far as I'm aware. If you have the right, I guess, cameras and stuff set up. And also another thing is that it's controlled by StreamYards as opposed to being controlled by your computer. So if I suddenly drop out or Dan drops out, the stream doesn't end. It continues on and we can somehow rescue it. So those are I guess, the good technical backups and support for this program. But I mean, we can also do this kind of funky stuff. We can click all sorts of buttons and move ourselves everywhere, and people are moving, and this is all kind of these transitions. If you did this through OBS, it would be a lot more complicated to do, and then we can bring up questions like this because it's all integrated into the web browser. And I think StreamYards offers a very good free option as well to get you started before you might want to invest in it. There are alternatives though, of course. We used to use Stream Labs. Sounds very similar. That's kind of like an OBS. How would I call this?
It's OBS with a skin over it.
Yeah, an OBS skin of it. And I'm seeing Ecamm has also been suggested in the comments. I mean, and we're not sponsored by StreamYards. Right. We just love it and we use it. I know Think Media and Omar, you're big proponents of StreamYards.
Yeah, we do a lot of work with them. We integrate. I mean, they are one of our most loved relationships, I guess you could say, and along as like vidIQ, just like it's something we use, we trust. Like we have private Facebook communities. We do free challenges that are like 5-7 day challenges, and that's how we go live. Sometimes the session will require us to go live both on YouTube and on Facebook, and just like how Rob showed you how easy it was to do the little things that would take a lot of work to set up on OBS. We also understand that it is evolving too. Like, I mean, they're taking a lot of things that we wish they would do, and like occasionally we'll roll out new features and updates. I love that you can upload videos to your stream and then play them. I did that yesterday for our live stream on the Sony ZV-E10, and was able to just like cut to like very pre-shot clips. And you can almost do it, like, I mean, if you're into wanting to do reaction videos, like StreamYard is kind of set up so you can easily do that kind of. And so we love StreamYard, and I would say you do get crispier quality out of OBS because you can choose your bit rate and all that stuff, which I do like that idea, especially if I'm reviewing a camera. Like, it's not really fair to show off camera examples, through StreamYards, but it's about information. So as long as you have your audio dialed in and you have a decent webcam, you can crush like a live stream and or show. Another feature that is unreal, I think is the ease of bringing on people. Like
Yeah.
if you have a community of people that you want to like coach and go like one after the other type thing, answer a specific question from each person. Like it makes it so easy because they just need a link to hop in. They don't need to download anything. Some people, you know, if they have their phone, they can literally join you and on your live stream, and StreamYard does so much of the heavy lifting. It's kind of crazy, even like how we use it. We have this thing called Coffee with Cannel, where Sean will go on and like do channel reviews and kind of like audit channels and stuff like that on this live stream. And some of our most viewed videos are simply repurposed questions that were answered on StreamYard, and then repositioned with a thumbnail and title on our Think Media channel. And that obviously gets a lot more eyeballs, but literally using StreamYard to do the heavy lifting is super nice. So yeah, definitely love StreamYard.
We reached a point, I think, 2 months ago where, and we've used this term quite a few times now, where the convenience of StreamYards started to outweigh the complexities and options of Streamlabs. And so this is why we've transitioned in the last couple of weeks.
So I pulled up this question. I think this is a really great question. A lot of
it is
folks out there.
I need the answer to this.
Well, so suggestions for removing noise from your AC. So it's hot, it's summer. You're not turning it off. You don't care what you're doing. And my solution has always been what I'm doing right now, which is keeping the mic ridiculously close to my mouth, because I can have the dishwasher running or the air on or whatever going on in the other room or the background, and it's never that much of an issue. If you're making videos, if you're not live, it's even better, because this would be a situation where fix it in post would be what I would tell you to do, because get as close as you can to the mic, do some tests, make sure you like how it sounds, and then what you do is this. Get like a good chunk of dead air, and then while you're editing, I would look up a tutorial on how to do this, because it depends on what you're using to edit, but basically what you'll end up doing is capturing that noise and teaching the software that day, like, hey, this noise, I want it to go away, this background noise. And you'd be surprised at how good of a job it does cutting out an air conditioner or something going on in the background, as long as that noise is consistent. You know, if a truck passes by or something, and it may still get a little bit of that, but if you have a consistent hum or something like that, you can get rid of it in post. But things you can do are keep this nice and close, and that alone, can help.
Alternatively,
there you go.
I'm going to try that this afternoon, and then I'm going to try and edit like the vidIQ T-shirt back onto myself in post. See how that works.
Won't take very long.
Yeah, another hack. I mean, it's not a hack, but it's understanding the difference between a condenser mic and a dynamic mic. And a dynamic mic will cut out more outside noise that's not coming from directly in front of the mic you're using. And I'm using a condenser mic, so if I had a fan blowing in my office, you'd hear it. I think the Blue Yeti is a condenser mic that Rob's using.
This too.
Yeah,
I always forget. Yeah, I never think about dynamic mics anymore.
So yeah, dynamic would give you more of a richer sound, but it also would cut more outside noise like an AC a lot better than a condenser mic. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Any tips for recording when you're using a green screen? This is something that I always really struggled with.
Lighting.
I was trying to get getting a consistent lighting on the green screen, which is contrasty enough to yourself, so that when you a green screen key yourself out, you don't have those green blemishes on the side of it. You almost have like a green stroke effect. And so I eventually abandoned it because I could just never get it quite right. I think for gaming channels, you'll forgive somebody down because you may be in like one of the bottom corners, so it's not too bad. But like full on green screening, this is why newsrooms and sports, when you're watching a news or sports channel, they have $100,000 worth of lights just to get it to look.
And also where they're positioned, like you would have lights on top of the green screen pointing behind you, to then outline yourself, so that also that the line of your hair light would allow that to be a more easy cut. And then obviously having not having spill on your green screen. So I don't know if the further you can move it back so it doesn't get hit, or you intentionally try to get it evenly lit, maybe with lights off to the side and they're hitting it behind you. And I don't know, the biggest thing is that you are this distinction regardless of the keyframe or you keying yourself out, whether that be wearing a dark clothing or using hair light to be able to separate yourself in that way.
I gave up on my green screen too for my gaming content. I basically just took my camera and put a little box around it and tucked it in the corner, just nice and small, because I was trying to set up a separate lighting system for the green screen. So I'd have lights on me and then lights in the background, and I'm always tripping over it. It was it was making me so mad. I'm like, all right, this is too much stress. I'm not going to worry about this anymore. It wasn't worth it to me for the payoff.
Look at this. This is going back into the archives. This is 4 years ago when I was trying to do everything through green screen, and it looks awful, but my internet's not working, so I can't show you that it looks awful. I hate it.
God, yeah, it's worse than I thought.
Yeah, look at that. It's so bad the video isn't even working. Okay, I'll let that run in the background, see if it comes back.
I'm actually a fan of, I get it if you're in a tight space and that's like the need, but or like I have a friend that uses his master bedroom and his bed and his nightstand, and so he likes to put just even a gray slate. That's like the other option, is to just do a plain color that's just clean. That's not a bad idea either. It's like if it's just a gray backdrop, that doesn't look bad. That'll look clean, and you don't need to get out.
I wear a lot of gray shirts though.
Then a blue back. No, I don't know. But like underrated cost of a paper backdrop from Savage. It's like $40 for like the rainbow of colors.
I didn't know about OfferUp either until this live stream. That's not a site I'd heard of. So you're full of all kinds of information. I need to sit down with you and learn from for where I buy things.
Always trying to save.
Yeah. Let's see. Trying to find another question here. There's always the fun, quiet part of the live stream.
Should we just quickly answer this then, for reference for this guy? Connor Tree is asking, what cameras do we use? So I'll go first. I use a combination of the Sony ZV-1. That's what I'm using right now. But on the majority of my videos, I'm still using the Panasonic G7, which I think is very competitive against the other introductory DSLRs in terms of Canon M50 and the Sony ZV-1. The one Achilles heel is it has very poor autofocus. So it's very much for talking heads. If you're sort of moving around back and forth, then it'll start doing what's called hunting, where it's trying to find you and it keeps blurring and unblurring. But I find it most convenient just in terms of what we talked about before, in terms of the tripod bay door. The menu system on it is very good and very accessible. And another really strange thing is that when you're using the Sony ZV-1, when you stop recording, it takes about 5 seconds to finish saving the footage to the SD card, whereas on the Panasonic G7, it's instant. And I just automatically always take out the SD card as soon as I finish recording, and I now have to just wait for a second before the recording finishes. But those are my two main cameras that I use.
I'm using the Canon 90D with a kit lens.
Crispy. For this live stream, I'm using Canon M50 with Mark II because it has a clean HDMI with a Sigma 16 millimeter. This is a Canon M50 Mark II with a Sigma 30 millimeter, so it's a lot more tight, but it's about like the same distance as the other one. That's what I use to live stream. And then, but for our videos, like for Think Media, I would say like our hero cameras that we use is an A7S III and an FX3. They're pretty much the same camera, but they really do produce really incredible image. Like that's what the Think Marketing or the Think Media podcast is shot on. That's what my tutorials that aren't live streams are shot on. But that's kind of like our main workhorse camera. I do appreciate the new camera that came out yesterday. It's the Sony ZV-E10. I was able to play with it for like a month before the release yesterday, and I really do think that like it's a great beginner camera. If you put like the Sony or like a Sigma lens on it, or even the kit lens, like it just looks really great straight out of camera. But I'm always trying to like fight for convenience, and so even with like the Sony A7S III and like the files being really large, I record proxies at the same time that I'm recording my actual video files, so that when I'm editing, it's editing a lot smoother, and it's speeding my workflow up. But all that to say, that's the main workhorse camera that I use.
I'm just curious, Omar, it's a very quick question. How long on average does it take you to you don't edit your videos now, is that right?
Sometimes I will, like if the team starts to get pretty full with stuff. Sometimes we have like internal videos and ads that need to be edited. I'll take on my my edits, which I have no problem, and sometimes I like it because I enjoy editing video. But yeah, more for the most part, Kyle Anderson is editing videos that I'm in, and Steph is also editing videos that I'm in.
If you were making a video independently, what would be your average production time? I'm still at about an hour per minute, although that does vary greatly on whether I'm having to put in B-roll,
right,
and in particular having to add text or graphics. That really slows down the production. I'm making a video about YouTube SEO right now, and I think I'm 5 minutes in, but it's taking me about 5 minutes to get there because there is so much explaining of keywords and that type of thing.
I mean, obviously the easy answer is that it depends, but for the most part, I like to create videos. I'm just like, dude, like as long as I can demonstrate what it is I'm saying, I don't need jump cuts or fly in text or like sound effects. Like I just need straight to the point, good A-roll, and make sure that shot, it looks, pretty good for the most part. But I usually shoot my videos knowing that I'm going to overlay B-roll on them. And I like to first shoot the A-roll for whatever video I'm doing, if it's a product review. And in that event, if Kyle isn't with me, I chronologically in my mind have the B-roll checklist, and I try to shoot that B-roll chronologically. So sometimes I'll even shoot the A-roll without the B-roll yet, throw it into my editing software. Little life hack, I edit my A-roll backwards because the last take is the best take. And so I trim that down. I would say if a video is, 8 minutes, it probably took me 40 minutes as far as A-roll goes. That's just, I don't know, that's usually the average. And so maybe it doesn't take me 40 minutes to edit that down because I'm just like jump cutting it, and I've gotten quick, I have keyboard shortcuts on my Premiere Pro and stuff. So let's just say 2 hours to get to the place of like, come in, like now I have the B-roll checklist, and then maybe another hour and a half for that B-roll. You throw that B-roll in, I don't know, like I would say like a 4 hour thing from shooting to completion.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a fan of like coming up with smart ways to create content. So like I undervalue sometimes tutorials that could just be screen captured, like I don't know, like I mean, like if you're doing screen capture type stuff, or maybe the hard work is creating a slide deck instead of shooting B-roll, sometimes you can actually get away with like a more simple video production process. It's sharing the same information. I would say like there's a lot dynamics that we all bring to the table though. Like Nolan is he's a true like storyteller filmmaker guy. So my like tech reviews are like, dude, here's the problem. This tech solves that problem. Let's jump into it. Whereas Nolan, like the dude's an artist, like he'll take a lot more time creating one video because of the story he's trying to tell throughout that video. And we like to honor the gifts, in Think Media. And so we love that about him. Like his hooks on his videos, because of his editing and like his tone, it really captures you to stay and want to stay for the whole part. I'm kind of just like OG kind of like Sean Cannell Jr. Like, you know, I'm gonna just give it to you straight. And I don't know, just maybe that's just because he does love short films and things like that. And so yeah, that's kind of like, I would say typical video, probably like 4 hours start to finish.
Yeah, quantity versus quality versus value, isn't it? I mean, you can deliver the same value, but you know, Think Media can do 5 videos a week. And just as a bit of a comparison, Film Booth, somebody we're working a little bit with, somebody called Ed, he creates these phenomenal videos, similar to Nolan's actually in terms of storytelling. But I can imagine just watching his videos how he interweaves all of the storytelling aspects and the B-roll and et cetera, et cetera. Those videos must take 10, 20, 30 hours to make, and it results in 1 video a week. But there's still a great amount of value in each type. And so it's always that really interesting discussion.
No, it's definitely understanding the game. Yeah. Like, what game are you playing? You know, I love Matt D'Avella. He's like a minimalist, you know, like mindset guy, makes incredible like YouTube videos, like these like documentary style YouTube videos. Again, the game we play is like, I think, you know, like we do want to sell product. Like, we want to convince that something that we think would help you create content more simple could convince you enough to be like, I need to make that investment. We make a small cut, obviously, off Amazon with affiliates and stuff. But like, if that is the end goal, my job is just to make you think you kind of need this if you do. So in my mind, sometimes I'm not like, just to be straight up, sometimes me and Nolan are like, Nolan, dude, you don't have to go that distance. And he's like, bro, I put my blood, sweat, and tears in this thing.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, it's like hard to just like, if you're going for like the algorithm, you know, and like YouTube suggesting your video, you want to make like really good YouTube content, but like search based is kind of just my wheelhouse. Like, there was one video that Nolan made that like literally blew us all away, because like it was like, I used $100. I bought the cheapest camera on Amazon, and you guys didn't even notice. Like, a very like, you know, up in the air title, but the way he edited it, the story he told alongside of it, and now it's our #1 viewed video on our channel. Like, as far as like the amount of views every 48 hours or whatever, like their top 10. Yeah. And that was like not a search based type of video, more than it was very entertaining. It was, you know, like there was value toward the end of it, but like, yeah, this thing is just crushing, which is crazy. So like, yeah, I think it's just understanding the game you're trying to play and what your end goal is, because I think so much people can actually create an influence or grow a YouTube channel simply providing valuable information, and then growing from there. But yeah, I mean, let the genius of who you are shine, and not try to be somebody else. Because trying to be like a storyteller person, I could see somebody getting frustrated, like the way these filmmaker vloggers, dude, like, I know they pull up to a parking spot, they put their camera in place, and then they get back in the car and they pull back, and then they pull back into the parking spot. It's like, and it's just a 2-second clip in their thing. It adds, you know, it definitely adds to like production value, but like, that took 5 minutes, dude. I don't know, you know, and it's just, it's just understanding the game you're playing, I think.
It's funny too, because even as somebody I know all this stuff. I've been on film shoots. I know exactly how they're making what they're making, and I still don't think about it. I've been watching a lot of storytelling type of content, you know, and the Film Booth channel Rob just mentions one I've been watching a lot, and he does stuff like that all the time, and you still don't think about it. Like, he's getting something out of the trunk, so he puts the camera in the trunk first, closes the trunk, walks around the car, then does the whole thing, and you know, it never registers because the editing is just that good. You never think about it. Like, the camera's just been running in the trunk the whole time.
Dan, it registers to us who know how long that would take, you know.
I'm saying when I sit down and think about it, but I still, if I'm just watching it and I'm not really like, I'm just listening to what they're saying, not really thinking about it too hard, I don't even notice it, you know. But then when I sit down, I'm like, wait a minute, they had to, that took forever.
for real.
I would just leave a camera running in the trunk. It'd be easier.
Let's answer this question that's been up for about 10 minutes and we went off on a tangent.
Yes, I film mostly using my iPhone 12, but the back camera, I can't, and can't see myself, which is inconvenient, but the front camera is just not as good. I've struggled with this myself. My first couple of vidIQ videos were shot, and this was a very frustrating thing. Should I just use the front camera? Lighting is good.
Yes. Like, if you're having a hard time shooting on the rear camera, use the front camera. I would say just make sure you look at the lens, because right now I'm looking at myself talking and I'm not looking at the lens. And then right now I'm looking at the lens and it looks like I'm looking at you. And then oftentimes, because you can see yourself, you tend to look at yourself while you're filming and you're going to lose that connection with your audience. I did like, back to like, what's one free way you can upgrade your camera quality? Yeah, using your rear camera is one free way you can do that. I actually, on my Instagram stories, oftentimes will record whatever I wanted to post on my stories, and I'll upload it to Instagram stories using the wide angle camera. And I probably, every single time I do that, I get the question a dozen times, like, what camera are you using to do this? I'm like, dude, I'm using the rear camera. I think maybe just because I've learned to look at the lens and stuff and orientation, this, that, and the other. But if you say it's inconvenient, go to convenient. Like, that's like the biggest battle of a creator, is like having the self-awareness to know what's causing friction and fixing it. And so, yeah, that mirror hack is pretty legit, dude. Honestly, that's a free invention if anybody wants to run with it, because I know they make it for Sony cameras that don't have the flip up screen. You can put it on the hot shoe and there's a mirror that, like, you know, portrays the image to you from the top of the camera. But for smartphones, no, I really think there's actually something that could be created where you can see it. Maybe it's like the phone's here and there's a mirror that comes in at an angle, so you can look right above it, just so you're maximizing the quality. Or just put the superior camera in the front now, guys. Like, yeah,
what's going on?
We're living in a TikTok generation, and everyone needs that front-facing camera to be. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next year or two it actually becomes a superior camera, because it makes the most sense.
Couple things. I mean, every generation of phone that they make, the front-facing camera always gets an upgrade, but so does the back-facing camera.
Right.
So it's always like tempting, but it's front-facing cameras look way better now than they did even a couple of years ago. That was the first thing I was going to say. And then if you live with somebody else, see if they're willing to help you out. Just model for you. You know, just have them sit in the chair you're about to sit in, and just, you know, frame them. And then when they leave, hit record and do your thing. Those are kind of the things I did. But ultimately, I ended up using the front camera, even though it didn't look as good, because it was one more thing to worry about. And it, you know, I tried with the rear, setting it up by myself. I sat down in front of it. I looked at the video after, and I'm like, that's not framed right at all. I got it completely wrong.
I know, because you think you want to put the phone directly in front of you when it should be like a little adjusted. And
yeah, when you were saying to look at the lens, that's another thing too. The lens is here. It's not here. You're tempted to look at the screen or on the back. Like, you want to look directly at that. That's where your audience is. But anyway, I love those suggestions. We are at 2 hours, so it's probably about time we wrap it up. Does anyone want to say some goodbyes to some folks in chat?
Sure, let's do that. So we're gonna say goodbye. So now is your chance to say goodbye. And I think while we're just waiting for people to do that, I'm going to turn off slow mode, and we'll just have a nice little final segue back to Think Media. Omar, if you can, and just let all of our audience know what goes on there.
Yes, if you are looking to level up your personal YouTube channel when it comes to the strategy standpoint of things, but also the tips and tools like cameras, audio, and lighting, and you want to know the cheapest things that you can buy to upgrade your production setup, or the best. Like, sometimes we cover even the best type of stuff, but definitely our goal is to help content creators grow their influence on YouTube. And I want to encourage you to not only subscribe to Think Media, but to use it as a search and like an archive system. So if you ever have the question, go in there. You know, I get the question a lot of the times, like, Omar, how do you remove the glare out of your glasses? I'm like, man, our channel has that. And I know you subscribe to our channel, but use our channel as an archive system. if you have any questions, or you're in a roadblock, I guess you could say. I guess secondly, I would like to push our podcast. Like, we have the Think Media podcast is another channel where we post on Tuesdays, and also Sean goes live. Heather also goes live, and there is more of like the business aspect of YouTube, where we definitely talk more deeper than just gears and things like that. So that's this Think Media and the Think Media podcast literally is all there to just serve you. There are people that watch. We drop 5 videos a week at minimum on our channel. And even if a video doesn't like pertain to you, trust me, every time you click on a video, you will learn something new. I know a lot of people will just like, yeah, you know, maybe you're not in the market for a new mic, but I made a video on a mic. Watch that video, because chances are you're going to learn something about audio more than the mic that we're talking about. And so we're just, I definitely think there's a lot of like unseen content on our channel, simply because, you know, you didn't catch it when it came out, or, you know, maybe you don't, there's a lot of people that actually use YouTube, but they don't use it as a search engine. And so maybe that's even one thing. But yeah, Think Media, we're here to help you. We want you to succeed. And we do think that there is no better time to create influence on YouTube. And actually the fastest growing small business type right now is becoming a content creator. Can you believe that? Not starting a Subway, not opening up a Starbucks. The fastest small business growing type is becoming a content creator, which is crazy, but is a reality. And we think that there is room for you to create the reality you would like to see using your passions and building an influence.
And on that note, if you're somebody who has been going at this YouTube thing for a bit and you've been thinking about buying vidIQ to help grow your channels, there's a couple different ways you could do it. There is 30 days free of all of our tools. The link is down below. And then on top of that, right now, until July 31st, we are running a special that we've never run before, and we may not ever run again. So I would jump on this. You can buy a month of Boost and get the second month 50% off. If you use the promo code work from home, that's how you take advantage of that deal. And when you do, you get a free one-on-one channel audit session with one of our vidIQ channel auditors. This isn't the same as coming to a Tuesday live stream and having us go over your channel for 5 minutes. This is you sitting down in a call one-on-one with somebody for an extended period of time, talking about your channel and the ways that you could be improving and growing on YouTube. This is something that we generally offer for around $500 US. So take advantage now. Dead serious. We've never done this before, and I don't know if we will again. I really, truly don't. So there it is. Final thoughts there, Rob?
Imagine like we've just been talking collectively, the three of us here, about camera gear for the last couple of hours. This offer is essentially you chatting with one of us here at vidIQ about about nothing but your channel for 60 minutes. And as you say, Omar, when we're looking at watching Think Media videos, we'll learn just a couple of bits here and there. Imagine learning everything you learn about maybe a 60-minute video conversation, and you learn everything about your channel. Yeah, actually, the one last thing I do want to ask, Omar, I want you to be honest here, and I'll be honest as well. How often have you checked out vidIQ's latest video and thought, yeah, we're going to make a video about that? To put it another way, steal an idea. Because I'm going to be honest, I've watched several Think Media videos and I thought, yeah, I'm going to make a video about that. And I've kind of stolen one of your ideas. And I'm just wondering, this is what I call a passive collaboration within the YouTube education space, that I think everybody's watching everybody a little bit. And we think, yeah, I kind of like that video idea. I'm going to try it myself.
Like specifically with vidIQ, I mean, I would say right now, the thumbnail. If you search our channel for, a YouTube intro maker, the thumbnail inspiration came from vidIQ's thumbnails. That's one thing. I would even say on even grander beyond vidIQ, that's just a strategy. One strategy of creating videos is seeing somebody else make it and you just making it better, or or you kind of making it, you know, in your perspective. And so, no, man, like, I mean, I think it's free. There's nothing new under the sun. And simply, and I even like go to the like ethnicity. Like, if I'm a different ethnicity from somebody that made a video, simply because of my ethnicity, there's probably gonna be different people that connect for that certain information. All that to say, I just definitely think that yes, would you call it like cross influence, like helping each other out, you know? So 100% that we
full confession, when I saw this title, I thought that was a brilliant way of pitching to an audience under 1,000 subscribers. So I basically just used it on one of my videos. I mean, the content was quite different, the strategies themselves, but just I think we're all learning a little bit from other creators, and that's a wonderful.
Dude, I mean, I honestly wish I like our Slack thread. We have a content Slack thread where we're always posting other people's videos and saying like, we could make our version of this, not by stealing it, by sharing it through our lens. So like Full-Time Filmmaker, I'm sure is a channel that a lot of people cross path with us, because they talk about cameras. They also talk, you know, they're more or less the person behind the camera, right? Like, this is just an example. Yesterday they dropped a video called what was it? It was called 10 ways to make $100K a year using your camera. I was like, dude, what a phenomenal title. And the thumbnail is incredible. But I was like, they're making that video out of the context of being behind the camera as like a videographer, right? Or, you know, a cinematographer. That title or that idea works for us in a different light. But I got the inspiration from seeing their, you know, version of that. And so I say all that to say 100%. And I wouldn't, I mean, I guess we will never know the full extent to what people, you know, do. Like, I dropped one that I do think of is I dropped a video last year that really kind of broke through, and it was like a YouTube Studio background hack on like how to use one sheet of paper but change the color.
You know, I saw that, and I want to do that myself, but I can't drill holes in the ceiling of my apartment. So I've been I tried several iterations of sticking bits of paper to cardboard, but the cardboard kept falling off a wall or anything. So I'm just gonna have to wait until I'm able to properly do that with you know, with the rigging. That's what I'm just not able to apply to my room. But yeah, that was a fascinating
and like all that to say, the thumbnail of that video, I think it was such a good thumbnail. It was like 4 different images with different colors. I have been able, like, there's several creators that have literally, you know, look at like this guy. Don't even put it on. No, don't put him on blast. I'm not trying to put people on blast. But yeah, that's the video. But a lot of people have stolen even the thumbnail concept because it's a great thumbnail concept. And at the end of the day, you know, I think the theme here is that imitation is a form of flattery. Is that the quote? I think so. But yeah, like, you're right. I think you should take that as like, wow, I must be doing the right thing. You know, like if something I did is helping other people. You know how many people that like are in our community that started tech videos and tech, you know, or YouTube tip, you know, channels, and they're in our community and they're just like rapidly growing. Like, that's all awesome. Like, there's room for everybody in this game called YouTube. I think it's just understanding the game you're trying to play, and also to know that like even on a real extent, you can only copy so long. But like, dude, get your creative juices flowing by watching YouTube videos, and how you can also, you know, implement some things that you learn. I genuinely I'm a fan of YouTube. Like, I don't really binge Netflix. I don't binge TV shows. I like go on my TV, I go on the YouTube app, and I watch recommended videos that they recommend me based off of something that's piquing my interest at the time or what have you. But heck yeah, man, I'm always trying to get inspired to create content.
There you go, Dan. That was my final thought.
That was a great final thought. I constantly tell like gaming channels, because it's the same thing, only you can go outside of YouTube and into the communities of the thing you're passionate about, whether it's cooking or gaming or whatever. They're like Reddit communities, things like that. There's always something there to spark like an idea, you know, something to get excited about and make a video on. So I get a lot of my video ideas from those outside areas too, just following the communities. So thank you, everybody. I'll say goodbye to just a couple people here. We're way over time now. But Zanzeris, thank you so much for moderating. Thank you to all our moderators. I see Jonk is here. We'll see you later, Jonk. Fearless Z, we'll see you later. And let's see here. Jensen Jupiter, catch you later. Are we saying bye to anybody? Rob's already been putting names on, so
I'm with
everybody got their goodbyes. Okay, I'm finding buttons. You just keep waving.
I'm keeping waving. I'm keeping waving.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.